Hello, my name is David Gill. I'm a software developer, and one of the open source projects that I work on is called Parthia. Parthia is a client for an old text game called The Eternal City. Today I am making a video on the process that I go through when I want an update to get pushed out to each client. So with this update, it's received directly from GitHub, and the user doesn't need to process the request on their side. And the only thing that they need to do on their side is when they receive an automatic prompt, they just need to say, yes, I want to receive this update. I could even, if I was developing a product where you didn't want to leave that option up to the end user, you could automatically do it. But with Parthia, I feel it's important to leave that option up to the end user if they would or would not like to do the update. So this video is really it's intended for fellow developers, maybe looking for a method to receive updates in a little bit more streamlined way. It's also intended for any schools going through and evaluating me, and then it would be also for employers or even possible employers. So with all that, we'll just go right into the process that I do. Now, I do have this all documented on the wiki for Parthia, and since I don't do it too often, there's a very solid chance I'll actually refer back to this myself today. But going back here, the first thing I want to do is I want to find out what was the version of my previous release. And here, I'm going by the tag. So in this case, I've got 0.1.53. So I'm going to go into my IDE, and this is a script that basically has a number of different functions that this update process uses and goes through. Now, this is an open source project, so if you download it yourself and you're actually interested in the code for some reason, it's all Lua based, so chances are you won't want to use the code itself, but perhaps maybe just the logic flow. This is Mudlet, so in this is designed to be modular. So if for some reason you do use Mudlet, it actually would be very easy for you to use this within in your own Mudlet code. Chances are you don't do that. You're really just kind of trying to get a general method. So we have here, we can see that there's this variable, and it is dead on match for that version we had there. We want to increase this by 1. Well, I actually had a pretty big update. There were a lot of changes. I didn't really feel it worthy of an entire version bump, um, because my intention is that third one is really for when I think the client has nearly no issues, all functionality is there. That is when I'm at 1, and then continue bumping from there. So this client, it is fully functional, um, but I'm very stringent on when that 1.0 comes into place. So we're gonna make certain it's saved. We're gonna kick back to GitHub desktop, make certain our changes are there. I've already made a branch for version bump. I've not published the branch. Okay, so I'm gonna commit. I'm gonna publish the branch, and because I like you doing it just in general, more through GitHub, we're going to PR or pull request that just through GitHub. And it happens to be that was dead on my 500th commit. So hopefully I don't do this incorrectly. If I do this incorrectly, it bumps that version number. Uh, I have to change it manually, and then um, I would have to do another commit, and it would just be off that 500. 501 is not nearly as impressive. I'm just going to do a version bump on here, and then verify. Yeah, good. Okay, so we're going to go create a pull request. There's no conflicts. We're going to merge back, and I'm going to go make certain I have 501 because of the version bump. Got it. So we're going to go back here and we're going to go to releases. I'm going to pause for just one moment. All right, now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to draft a new release. And this guy, automations, it's mainly to do to automations, but let's say automations update and UI improvement. All right, now we're going to choose a tag. We are going to go 0.1. And we're going to want to match that version bump that we made. This tag will be created. Really great. That's going to be, this needs to match that tag that we created. And then I'm going to go into this document, and I've actually already pre-created our notes. And with my particular update, these notes are actually important because they will appear inside of the client. This guy's going to be a pre-release. And then I'm pretty sure I have to add the binaries in manually. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to read a little bit on my own update method. Yep. And make certain that I'm doing it right. So I'm going to put you on pause one more time. All right, so with this, we're going to want to attach, in my case, I've got all my sources here. I actually work directly from these XMLs within the Mudlet IDE using, there's a sync option within that application. So I've got all these changed right on the fly. So I'm going to drag these guys over, wait for them all to update. Sneak over here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Verifying. Okay. So that's all the primary source for my game. This is the primary source code. These are actually all the images. And this is a patch that I made because there was the command used within Mudlet to send text to all sessions was used, I believe, for emotes in the Eternal City. So I had to swap that out. So here, forgot to mention this. Clicking this is a pre-release. What's going to happen is within Parthia, there's availability to be a beta tester. And the first thing I'm going to do when I cut a release is I'm going to make it a beta version. And if it's something that could possibly cause bug issues, what I would want to do is I'm going to push a beta release. I always push a beta release, and then I test it first myself to make certain there's going to be no unexpected issues during the update. And then once I've done that, I actually then push it to a major release. Once it's been removed from pre-release, um, then it will actually get pushed to all users, not just people who are beta testers. So I'm going to double check here. This is pretty much the most important that we have, that we want to fill in there. Everything else from memory, everything else can be adjusted. I don't think this tag, once it's been used, I don't believe you can use that tag again. It's just been used up. Got to make a new one. So we're going to publish this release because we're not too terribly concerned because we have, this is a pre-release. So I'm going to click publish, and then I'm going to come back here, um, and then I'm in my developer account. So I'm actually going to close out of Mudlet. I'm going to reopen it. I'm going to drag it and then the login window on over here. And rather than using my development ID, I'm going to log in under this is just a standard client now. And one thing we'll see here, I want us to take note of the way this window is all set up. So here, now we can see that we've gone through, and there is an update that's available. Please update and add automation tutorial video at, um, and this is basically just going through and providing those notes that we had put into to actually at GitHub. But I can see here that this is actually a previous update. So I'm actually going to process this update because it looks like it's been a really long time since I've actually run an update. So the updates are completed. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through, because I don't remember all the commands. That's my help system for this game. I'm going to do Parthia beta tests. So now I have beta testing on and enabled. And then I'm going to see if I can remember how to request an update. All right, there we go. Here's the update we just created. So now I've got beta testing enabled. Here's all the notes that we just added in on that update. So it explains what the update is. This particular update, the tutorial videos were an important part of it. So I actually included it right there at the bottom. So now that I want to run that update, I'm just going to click the update. And then with it, there is a user interface change. And with this particular update, um, if you have already if you've saved user interface changes within the game, which you should, because they get saved by default. You're going to want to go through, and in fact, I actually mentioned this within this help section. You got to actually reset. So because the new default, the previous screen you'd seen, that's the old default, and the new default is going to be this one here. I'm going to go Parthia save all. Yeah, so that way the settings all get saved. So that way now, when I log in with this test account, I'll use the new standard. So there's quite a few things that got added. Added in an automation system that includes interrupts, allow you to do things automatically within the game. Fix did some bug fixes to the user interface. I added this left-hand sidebar already existed, but it was an optional, and I remade it the default again. Changed where these windows appear. I created this window. All these items already existed, but they weren't grouped into this type of window. There was another one, um, but I created this one specifically for this new layout. So now that we've gone through, we ran the update. Let's make certain. Let's make certain that we can connect to the game. Let's go to Twin City. Sometimes I do know, and I'm actually gonna pause while I enter in the password. All right, then we can see here we've had a successful login. Um, let's make certain login as the user. Um, Normally, I would go through, I would do some testing, but two items. One, I'm doing this while I'm making a video, and the more important one, I cannot stress enough how much I wound up testing this particular update. Um, it wound up taking quite a large amount of testing. But what we are going to do is we are going to go through, even though we had that user interface change, and I am absolutely certain the code got moved in. Let's actually go through another item that I like to do is I like to make certain that the version number exists. So because we hard coded it in there, I can actually see it. So I can see that these changes, even though I could see the user interface change, that was an absolute certainty right straight after doing the display reset. I can see here that I've had a version bump. I can see that I'm getting the code changes. So maybe if when you're going through you're making changes that aren't so obvious, you can easily go through, see, oh, here's my new version. Um, you can verify it with it. So now I want to make certain that these changes are reflected for all users. So let's go, uh, let's turn beta test off. Oh, I have Parsia version. Okay, so I got beta testing off. Settings window changed locations. Let's force an update. It goes back to that previous older version. So we can see here, see those, see like some of the windows, they're they're disappearing. They've changed spaces. This is pretty normal because so much changed. So let's go display reset again, and we go back to that default we had previously seen there. So let's go through and let's choose to exit in this case. Now I am going to remove the pre-release tag to this. Click it there, and I'm going to click update release. Whenever I do this, I always like to then have that client, that was in that previous state. We returned it to the user state, the standard user state. I always like to return it to that way intentionally. Make certain that I see my release notes. So this is, we're positive. This is exactly what's going to happen with a user who has the most recent update. So we're going to go through and actually run our update, and nothing's really going to wind up changing uh, on the screen because we have to run that display reset. And again, it's an item that I did wind up mentioning in the notes. You can see right there that I told the users to use the new interface. You can run display in reset. One thing I would point out is if it was a brand new user, this is the first time they've ever logged in, they'll actually get that new default because these settings, the Windows positions, the windows that are enabled, the fact that that left bar wasn't enabled, there's no bar at the bottom, these are all saved files with this particular client. So let's go through, let's run display reset, and then my change, I've made my changes. We can see I've got my new automations and interrupt window. We got that brand new, setup here to kind of more easily work with the automations and interrupt window. So we are going to go ahead. We're going to save all. So we'll save over all those old defaults. And then we're going to want to make certain, just like before, let's reconnect. And I'm going to pause again for that password. All right, great. So we're logged back into the game. We can get into the game. All right, good. Exit. Then just again, for that needless abundance of precaution, even though I could see it, I'm going to make absolutely certain that we can see those code changes. Scrolled right past it. That we can see those code changes right inside the source. So 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 now in my test ID, those changes, they've all gotten pulled right straight from GitHub, uh, both in the beta version. So when I had beta testing enabled, and then now as I have the major release enabled. So that was what I had wanted to cover in this video. Um, what I'll wind up doing is I'll include what I can to reference back to the source in the description. With Mudlet, it's not exactly easy. Um, there's no like singular file that I'm going to be able to simply point back to, or at least in the way that I currently have it set up. Um, but I know I have exported it, and I know it is what I use for the update system. So in all likelihood, I'll probably wind up pointing to that because I have it all. I have this update all in a singular module that can be dragged and dropped right into Mudlet. So, and it's actually what I use during installation. It's just the update engine. It does the whole installation itself. But again, my name's David Gill. Thank you very much for your interest. If you have any questions for me, I'm going to include Parthia's Discord. Not terribly active on it, um, but active enough, and you'll be able to find me on it. I'm Dave with a nice hat. It's my handle if you would like to message me directly. But again, thank you.